give some advice to left-leaners and liberals and whatnot. That this is an example of why people don't like you. Is take this for example. Last year I was at the ski resort and I ended up catching a ride up to the top of the mountain with a Tesla owner. And the Tesla owner, the conversation, it was pretty regrettable for me, I found. The Tesla owner starts telling me how his car is so good, basically, and how, this is just over a year ago, I guess now, how his car is so good and how I should get one. And I'm trying to tell him, like, I don't have a whole lot of money. Like, it's not like something I can, but I went and I bought that Volkswagen Rabbit there, or Golf, used for $3,000 and it nearly broke me. It's like, not a guy with a ton of capital. Trying to explain this to him, right? He's like, well, you could get financing and this and that. I'm like, man, you don't understand my economic situation. Like, I get it. You've always had success in your life and you have a lot of money. You don't seem to grasp that I come from an economic class that has never had that come easy to them. And then I guess what's especially disappointing is the next part of the conversation. They began to kind of criticize me as a parent. Like, well, how come you don't spend more time with your kids doing things like coming to the ski hill? And it's like, well, I don't have a lot of money, and so I want to be able to spend time with my kids, but if I go and take some camp logging job and I'm gone all the time, or it's like living out in a place like Wells in the winter. It's not like I just got jobs everywhere to go work. You have to leave here to go work, which means you go work camp jobs, right? And so I chose to be there for my kids. And it's like, well, how come you can't afford a Tesla? How come you can't afford to bring your kids out to do things more and more? I just found that really discouraging and disappointing and actually hard as a guy, and the thing about this, listen to this, there was never any, hey, congratulations. At the time I was approaching 4 years sober. Congratulations on changing your life. Congratulations on going to therapy. Congratulations, and facing your demons, congratulations. Way to go on all your firefighting that you've done for our province. All the people's lives you saved in your lifetime. Way to go, man. Wow, your kids are smart and well-behaved and polite, and you must be doing something right. They feel loved. Hey, good. There was never any it was just sort of this subtle passive-aggressive fucking, you don't have a Tesla, and I thought you were an environmentalist, but I'm the real environmentalist because I have a Tesla, and how come you don't spend money on your kids to take them out to places? And this is like, I'm trying to do you a favor, those of you who are in the middle class. I'm trying to explain to you a bit of the frustration that hillbillies like myself and people who come from poverty like myself, people who grow up with a parent in prison, people who are emotionally broken before they reach adulthood and then struggle. It took me over 20 fucking years of my adulthood to just stop hating myself, because of what I went through as a young man. Like, yeah, we're trying our best. And it's but at the time I was telling him, this Tesla stuff, you're making Elon Musk a billionaire. This guy's trying to take over the world. I don't want to give my money to that, even if I had the money. Sure, I think an electric car is a great idea, but I feel like this guy has bought Twitter and is now the apologist for fascism, spreading racist, on Twitter, where you help him buy Twitter, basically. You help him afford it so that he can go on there and say to people that cis is a hate speech word, but using the N-word, that's no problem at all, right? That's a double standard. So I made my choices in life, and I'm living them. And I'm doing well, and it would have been nice to have some understanding of that. So that's some of the frustration. That's just an example of one Tesla owner and their attitude. And even though they're progressive, liberal type, what makes me not want to be around them? And even though we share a lot of the same views about the world, right? And I'm trying to explain this to you because there's a reason why a lot of the Canadians are reactionary and gone to the Conservative Party and gone to these reactionary rhetoric because they don't identify with your class, with you, who you are as a people, and with your privilege, and you don't allow yourself to see it either. There's a superiority complex that you're always going to walk around with. Okay, let's get this truck on the road here and see what else I got to do this afternoon before I get back to work. So then you find from these people, the messaging you seem to get from them a lot is that, well, you're just not good enough. Like, you swear too much, and your clothes are dirty, you drive a big truck. You know, you're just not good enough. You don't have enough money, and how come you're not part of a political party, and you're just not good enough. It's that sort of messaging we keep getting back, and then sort of like the moment comes when we're calling you on it and saying, look, here's the problem that all of you, all parties, help create for not just the last 10 years. You know, that's nonsense. For like 100 years or more with our relations with the United States and with our relationships with corporations. And we've tried at times in Canada to push back and get a better deal for people. And that's been eroded until we're in a fundamental disadvantage now, coming into a key time where not just we economically and strategically weaken, but now Elon Musk's cars drive around, and American military equipment is what we have had to rely on, and now we are underprepared to protect our country, and we're underprepared emotionally, spiritually, and philosophically for the battle that has to come ahead. This segment of the video is for those of you who may be watching 10 years into the future from now. You know, you young people who are just happen to still be able to get on YouTube and happen to be able to look back 10 years and be like, what was life like back 10 years ago when I was just a kid? See, this is a set of keys. This is what we used to start our vehicle. You stick it in the ignition and you twist it. We didn't have to use a phone or a card or any weird technology. We just stuck these things in this hole and twisted it, and our vehicle turned on. I'll give you an example here in a second. It's really miraculous technology. First time I had to use a card or some kind of a weird thing like a fob to start a vehicle, I didn't even know. Someone handed me the keys. I jumped in the truck and they said, "Oh, it'll start." They said, "Don't worry, the keys are in it." They said, "Okay." And then I got in. I was looking around, and so weird. And this thing I'm in, it's called a truck. You see, average working guys used to be able to afford to own one of these, and even we put gasoline in it and we drove it around. And the panels didn't just fall off or any weird shit like that. It didn't just catch on fire randomly in the middle of the day when you're just parked in a traffic jam somewhere, and the doors didn't lock and trap you in when it did catch on fire. So there is a Tesla parked in my driveway right now. It's not mine, so don't firebomb my house, you fucking weirdos. Just happens to be parked there, happens to be someone visiting, yeah. But nonetheless, it's parked at my house right now, which of course leads me to have some introspection about the nature of the Tesla parked in my house, and the sticker that's on it too I find very interesting. This sort of like, don't blame me, I bought it before we knew that Elon was crazy, you know, which might work on a lot of people. It's sort of like the Tesla owner's way of trying to absolve themselves for responsibility for making the world's richest man, and helping create this propaganda machine that's Twitter, helping to afford that, you know, like this is the state of democracy that you helped create, and the best you can kind of do now is say, well, it wasn't me, I bought this before I knew they were crazy. However, that might work on some people, but what about the fact that I told you when you first bought it that the guy's crazy, that yeah, maybe some of those projects sound nice and all, but anytime you're making someone the world's richest man, like, that's problematic. And, you know, and then to have to just rely on a computerized machine that requires upgrades and updates all the time, like, to me that's problematic. I like this old truck, even though it does guzzle a little bit of gas. I don't drive it near as much because of that. I don't go very far because of that often. But everything's except for the brain, everything's more or less just no digital dashboard. Everything is just old school, you know. Gear shift is old school. It's normal. Everything under the hood is pretty much normal. It's a 2007, right? You take it to a mechanic who's worked on a lot of Fords, and they're like, yeah, I know what to do. I can make this thing run again. No problem. We can make this thing run forever. Even though it's it's a Ford. I mean, it's going to break down a lot, but the parts are going to be cheap, and everyone's going to know how to work on it. So that's the trade-in you make. Whereas Tesla, it's going to break down a lot, and no one knows how to fix it when it does. Nonetheless, you can claim no responsibility. Like, it's not my fault. I bought it before he was crazy. Well, it's just another example of the sort of disconnect that people hate. I mean, let's be honest. So all parties promoted the same lie that we can just constantly expand the economy forever. Never-ending expansion of the economy. Never-ending increased wealth. All parties bought the lie. All parties promoted it. Meanwhile, nearly all people bought into the various levels of propaganda it took to sustain that and prop it up. And, a great example, like we're so fond of calling out all the right-wing propaganda they're biting into, well, forgetting that, liberals themselves have much bought into this idea of the free market system, which has brought us to the brink of disaster in reality by making people like Elon super, super rich. We have allowed people like him the power and privilege to basically be able to do whatever they want in the world. And it was wrong to begin with. It was wrong. I told you 25 years ago it was wrong. I've been telling you the whole way since, so there's this disconnect. This disconnect happens where, propaganda machine isn't me, and I'm going to do my part for the environment. I'm an environmentalist. I have the money. I can buy a Tesla. Look at me. I'm doing good. How come you're not doing good? How come you're not as good as me? While having no class solidarity, no understanding of what people who aren't born into even stable families have to go through in order to make ends meet in this free market system. The table is tilted against us on this way, right? Everyone's helped create this place. And now that we know that, can we talk about it? And that's the thing is like, Joey, what side are you on? Well, have you not noticed? I'm not really on anybody's side because I think the Democrats are as guilty as the Republicans for bringing us to this place. I think the liberals and the conservatives are equally guilty for helping drive the politics. This is what's normal. The media on all sides that try to tell us that this is what's normal, and it's totally fine that some people are extremely wealthy. Here's the business section. Let's talk about today's number. Look at all the millions being made while you live in hunger. This basic disconnect with the whole system has helped make this. And of course, right now, it's really clear who the enemies are and what they're trying to do. But don't absolve yourself from guilt and responsibility, because as long as you do that, a large segment of people are going to still dislike you, not take you seriously, and they're going to buy into the propaganda that you are now trying to fight against. You got to take some ownership for your part in where we've come to. I'm doing my best over the years to have tried to live as simply as I could. I don't buy new things much. I don't go on vacations. I try my best to contribute as little as possible to the world in terms of pollution. And I drive a truck, but I don't go very far very often. I don't just go driving around all the time, all the place. It's like it's parked there for 5, 6, 7 days at a time until a day like today when I go out, right? So I've been trying my best to unplug, to live off the land when I can over the years. Try my best to contribute as little to the system as possible, understanding that the system that the liberals are telling me is good and the system that the conservatives are telling me good, even though they're saying each other are the enemies, they both help bring us to this point where people like Elon Musk have unlimited potential power, and we as a country aren't strategically, politically, militarily prepared to deal with what could happen next, right? So anyways, that's my message for today. Hit like, share, subscribe. Do got some clouds popping up, so I'm going to throw this video up and then hopefully see a couple rumbles of thunder or something in the area here, maybe at least a couple snow squalls. See you next time on the channel, everybody. Thanks for stopping on by. Bye now.